Before the 1980s, the ability to own a sports car was simply a dream for most people. But as technology in the automotive world evolved faster, cars became more accessible to the general public. This meant companies like Pagani and Grotti had to step up their game once again, competing to convince a new generation of drug lords to buy their shiny new supercars. Both brands took completely different approaches with their designs. Grotti went all in on elegance and performance with the Cheetah, a sleek, low-to-the-ground front-engine supercar built to essentially stick to the road. They were pretty confident in their new creation, knowing that their previous model, being the Stinger, still sold like hotcakes. But Pagani had other plans. Their answer to the Cheetah was the Infernus. It was a sleek car, yes, but it also had a lot more sharp edges and overall a much more aggressive presence. And unlike the Cheetah, which was at least primarily built for looks, the Infernus was built for raw speed. Its higher suspension allowed to go over bumps with no worries of losing traction, something the Cheetah couldn't brag about. Needless to say, both cars sold well, with the Infernus selling a lot more likely due to the lower price and the looks being more hip with the kids. American brands such as Bravado and Imponte saw all the success the Italians were having and decided they were not gonna miss out on this new market. Which brings us the Imponte Deluxo and a fan favorite, the Bravado Banshee. The Deluxo being an extremely luxury vehicle. From the get-go, it was clear Imponte was going all out with this sports car, with a full leather interior, square headlights, a front intake splitters, a rear spoiler. This car was built to impress. And as for performance, it's pretty decent for a sports car. It has a lot of grip. Another thing to note is that a new all-wheel drive model was released a couple years later, which was a good idea, but bad execution. Great job, Imponte. Now you're probably wondering where Bravado was during all of this. Well, I'm glad to tell you they were crafting one of the most iconic sports cars to grace this earth. I give you the Bravado Banshee. This is hands down one of the best sports cars to come out of the 80s. It still follows the trend of having a sleek, sloped front end, but like every American supercar, it's terrified of the European mid-engine layout, so the engine stays up front. When it comes to looks, I'll keep it simple. It's either you love it or you don't, there's no in between. For performance, on the other hand, it's undeniably one of the best performing sports cars of the decade, with tight handling, good acceleration, and a great top speed. It was definitely a no-brainer for any patriotic American. You thought I was going to forget what the Germans were cooking, weren't you? Well, it's impossible to talk about sports cars and ignore the existence of the Pfister Comet. This was the embodiment of everything the 80s had to offer. The Comet was fast, reliable, and comfortable. It didn't do too much, but what it did it well. The design of the Comet was very compact. An angled front end, small bumpers, and an open roof. Needless to say, the Comet was good fucking looking. And yes, it performed just as good as it looked. It did get a redesign in '86 where they opted for a fastback rear and joined the taillights together. Some liked it, some didn't. I'm the latter, but the producer has assured me my opinions don't matter. But all in all, the 80s were a great decade for the automotive world. You wouldn't think it could get any better. But it did. It's the 90s now. Coke has been traded for crack, hip-hop is the new pop, and saturation has just died in all fashion. But those weren't the only things that changed. In the car world, Grotti and Pegasi was still going at it, with Grotti keeping the habit of creating new models, which nobody asked for, but everyone buys anyway. Welcome to the Turismo. At first glance, you could tell the designers were still high on that 80s coke, because they took everything good about the Cheetah and made it better. The Turismo still has that sleek and aerodynamic design from the 80s, except now they borrowed a little bit of inspiration from Pegasi and gave the Turismo a lot more sharp edges. They also decided to make the car longer, which gave it a lot more stability when driving at high speeds. And as for overall performance, they made it have a lighter V6 over a beefier V8 engine. And it definitely didn't drag it down, because this car is able to hit speeds of 240 kilometers an hour, or in freedom speak, 149 miles per hour. So far, the Turismo is looking to be one of the best supercars on the market. And don't think they completely forgot about their bestseller. The Cheetah got a light remake in the 90s. They took away the pop-up headlights for seemingly no reason, and decided to curve the existing headlights. What are we doing, Grotti? They also decided to add a small hood scoop, side intakes, and make it a mid-engine V8. It's lighter too. Okay, maybe Grotti knows what they're doing, but you know, let's check in on Pegasi and sweet mother of God, they've ruined the Infernus. The brand new Infernus has gone for a new, more aerodynamic design, meaning they threw anything and everything everyone loved about it before. The front end of the car has been lowered to increase downforce, with added side intakes to add to the aerodynamics of the vehicle. It went for a completely new feel with the lights, making the once beloved and fierce Infernus look like an insect with the big slit headlights. Hey, at least they kept the integrated spoilers. Can't say the same about the taillights though. Overall, the 90s Infernus has a face only a mother could love. And as for performance, that V8 manages to make the Infernus the fastest sports car in the world in a straight line. Now the reason I say that is because its small wheels gives it a lot of understeer, and I mean a lot, making it a nightmare on any track. If this car so much as skids, start getting your wheel together because you are going to die. Hey, it's not that bad, you know, at least the engine sounds nice. Over in the UK, Dubachi decides to make, in my opinion, the best looking car of the early 90s, the Super GT. It has a very aggressive front end, with the indicators being put in between the splitters and a squared headlight that goes along the slanted hood of the car. It's a completely different situation on the back of the Super GT, with a much more tamer feel. The tail lights still follow the trend of being long rectangular bars, and how could I forget, again, side intakes. It also comes in two variants, a hard top and targa roof, both looking great. The Super GT is a damn fine car. The performance of it is a different story. Although it has an amazing top speed and acceleration, it's held back by one thing: its addiction to fishtailing. The rear-wheel drive setup gives it a ridiculous amount of power to the rear wheels, and coupled with its extreme responsiveness, it causes it to fishtail a lot. This car is essentially butter on wheels with how much it slides around the place. This brought down the reputation of the car a hell of a lot. So much so that since the car vaguely resembles the Turismo, folks get excited when they see it coming from a distance, then spit when they realize what it is. It's completely insane to think that this thing costs upwards of $80,000. The American companies decided to up their game even more, with car companies like Bravado, Vapid, and Albany all coming out with new sports cars. Bravado releasing two sports cars, the Bravado Buffalo and the Bravado Banshee. Starting off with the Buffalo, which looks like a beast. With 4 circular headlights and a huge hood intake, this car looks aggressive. And as for performance, it's a rear-wheel drive sports car with a powerful V8. And I'll let the engine speak for itself. This is why I love you, Bravado. And for the new Banshee, it's perfection. The design of the Banshee is streamlined from the front to the back. It has big circular headlights and wide taillights, and a lot of the time comes with a racing stripe. Everything just works. Performance is just as good. With the car rocking a carbureted V6, its acceleration is impeccable. Handling is also great, but it being a Banshee means it's low on safety and stability. Driving at high speeds requires some skill from the driver. Needless to say, the Banshee won hearts. But little did we know what Vapid was cooking. Wait, play back. There. That, my friends, is a bullet. This wonder of engineering is what Vapid used to beat Grotti at one of the biggest endurance races on the planet. The Vapid Bullet is one of the most beautiful supercars ever made. Ignoring the fact that it's actually shaped like a bullet, everything about the looks of this car is near perfection. From the looks of the circular headlights, and the fact it didn't decide to have the same rectangular taillights as everyone else, it's truly unique. And as for performance, it's one of the best in the game. The Bullet is made up of some of the most lightweight materials available, allowing it to be extremely nimble while maintaining breakneck speeds. It's a very fun driving experience for those who can afford it, of course. Acceleration and top speed, also amazing, making it the 3rd fastest car at the time, just behind the Turismo and the Infernus. This is definitely one of the best. The last American company to give this sports car thing a try was Albany, and the result was a mixed bag. This is the Albany Alpha. Albany's first attempt at the concept of a sports car. First we have the looks. It was fairly ahead of its time on that regard. Everything had a feel to it. It's also one of the few cars to avoid the rectangular taillight. The designers at Albany were fairly capable, but engineers not so much. Albany held back a lot of money with this project, which forced the team to make the car out of fairly cheap materials, including using an underpowered V8 to power the thing. It does have a nice sound, but it drives like a boat and is really heavy. It just goes to show that Albany will always try their best to do their worst. The final region to get into the sports car craze is the JDM companies, in particular Annis, coming out with 2 great models, the Euros and the ZR350. Now the Euros is a very interesting car. It's not the fastest on the market, nor is it the most expensive, it's just odd, but in a good way. It's shaped like a spaceship from the front end all the way to the back, where you find its rectangular taillights of the 90s, but it also has rectangular or rather square headlights and a glass roof. Annis was definitely going for an exotic look when designing this vehicle, and they achieved it. And the performance is just about average with what appears to be a V6, which is pretty much commonplace here. The Euros is definitely an interesting vehicle, and the ZR350 on the other hand went for a more similar shape, except it's a little more cohesive with its design, and is one of the few cars to integrate pop-up headlights at the time, which was a sight to behold. And of course it comes with the obligatory rectangular taillights, but we're ignoring that at this point. Overall design of this car was 10 out of 10. Performance was alright too. The R350 featured an FR drivetrain with a pretty decent top speed to teach jaywalkers a lesson. Granted, you will lose traction when you reach those speeds, but you know what you're getting into. And it's definitely added a lot to the 90s car market, and expanding on the growing JDM culture, which will later become a plague to car guys everywhere down the line. And as for companies like Imponte or Fister, there's only so much you can do to perfection. Fast forward to 1998. People are afraid the world is going to end because of a 2,000 euro calendar. This is the beginning of the SUV craze, and parents are blaming everything but themselves for their kids being psychopaths. You're definitely wondering what the cars at the time are like, and I should probably show you. These are the current evolutions of the Pegassi Infernus and Grotti Cheetah. And I have a lot of questions for both companies. Could you guys get the 80s designers back? Please? Like, no, seriously, please get them back. Let's start with Grotti as usual. They did a lot since the last time we've seen them, like revamping the Stinger and Cheetah and releasing a new model, which we'll get to in a minute. First, the Stinger. This new version of the Stinger had a very mixed reception. Ignoring the fact it looks like a bug with the circular headlights and taillights, it's also a very round car. It's just something else, man. And for performance, it's your average sports car with an insane amount of understeer. But the Liberty City Yakuza liked it enough to make it their main vehicle of choice. And as for the brand new Cheetah, it's a lot more aggressive this time. It's still really the same car we know and love, just with a couple of changes. Like making it a front engine, because why not? And the new regulation on vehicles forcing it to have the two side view mirrors again. On the back end, I have mixed feelings. I do not like those oval taillights. And now the main course. The Demos SP. This is when they actually decided to do something good with the design. The back of the Demos still retains that rectangular taillight trend of the 90s, but it was much more aggressive. Even staring at it for too long could leave bite marks on you. And for the front, it's definitely more meek, but still good looking. Grotti has been very secretive about the types of engines they use in these vehicles since they're all covered, but the Demo seems to have another V6. And performance? Pretty good. Great turning radius. This car is definitely the highlight of Grotti at this time. Boy oh boy. Pegassi. If you thought the Infernus of the early 90s was bad, take a look at what Pegassi did to it now. I take back everything I said about the Stinger. You're the new insect of the car world. All jokes aside, new design of the Infernus will take some getting used to. Again, they definitely went for an even more streamlined design with this car, but gave it an overbite on the rear end. The less said about the looks of this thing, the better. They still did keep the title of having the fastest car in the market, but they were still outdone by Grotti when it comes to performance overall. But there were also new lesser known competitors coming into the sports car game. giving us vehicles like the Phobos VT and the V8 Ghost. The Phobos VT being a loud, beautiful, and aggressive sports car with loud side exhaust that will burn your ankles off and a sharp low front end. The Phobos could be used as a decent lawnmower, although it had a habit of losing control at high speeds and sticking to the sidewalk. This car is definitely one of the better creations of this era. Now, whether its popularity will stick is a different question. The V8 Ghost, on the other hand, has questionable front end. Kinda looks like a fish to me, but some like it. Now the back looks really good. It's definitely a car for those who want the thrill of a sports car, but none of the attention that comes with it. Its performance is on par with the Cheetah and the Stinger, but it has really bad brakes though. And as for companies like Bravado and Pfister, they seem to be making something big for the coming millennium. But that wraps up this documentary on the evolution of the cars in Grand Theft Auto. If you stayed all the way to the end, I'd like to thank you a lot, because this took a while to make.